like a lot of people, giving is both intensely personal and a journey. So, my journey was fairly typical. I was intensely focused on my professional life and a little bit on my personal life, and I had no time to think about these issues. What's the state of the world, and what needs there are, and what I should do about it. From time to time, I would find a cause or a person which appealed to my heart, and I'd write a small check. And this is how it was till about 2011. The only excuse I have is I was really busy. But I think it's a poor excuse. After 2011, when I decided I'm no longer going to be an employee, I'm going to, enjoy my time and use it to pursue things I care about. For the first time, I had this luxury of thinking about things and reading deeply and having conversation. And I began to realize that, in fact, there's an ocean of needs out there. And I'm in a fortunate position where, I can make some dents in it. And so I, became much more serious and intentional about what I gave and how I gave and so forth. And in the beginning, I focused on giving things like time and expertise. For instance, I started an organization called Social Venture Partners in Bangalore. This was about trying to get other people who are in the same stage of life, 45 plus, they're feeling reasonably successful, they want to give back, but they don't know where to start, who to give. So I said, look, let's all get on the same journey together. And so we started something called SVP, and that's been hugely successful. And I grew and learned a lot from that process of giving in a more disciplined way and at a slightly larger level. But I think things have really sort of come together, or my thinking has really changed in the last 2 or 3 years for a variety of reasons. COVID was quite an alarm call for me, because all of us suddenly had to confront our own mortality, young, old, it didn't matter. And so I said, look, there's no guarantee you're going to figure this out later and then get to do it. Okay, so whatever you want to do it now. The second thing that changed was the tech meltdown last year. So most of my money is still in passively in tech stocks. And suddenly last year, for no reason, I was 1/3 poorer. Nothing had changed except the valuation of some paper had changed. And that was again like the penny drop for me. And I said, what a fool you are. If you'd given it away at that time, so many people would have been better off. And then the third one was turning 60. I turned 60 earlier this year. And I said, look, today 60 is still relatively, I wouldn't say young, but it's not old, somewhere in between. But again, it's now time to start giving at a much greater level, because there's no point suddenly kicking the bucket and then leaving all your money at somebody else to give it away and get all the joy. So Sonali, my wife, and I decided, let's start giving at a much, much higher level. So that's kind of the journey. That's where we are. So first there's a supply side to this, to making this happen, and then there's a demand side. What I mean is, so I decided a year ago that as a good start, let me just start giving away 100% of my income every year. Okay. So, okay, I'm not yet reaching into my little treasure chest of savings, but I'm now giving 100% of what I make. Okay. And it turns out to be a reasonable amount. And so I feel good. On the other side, who do you give it to? And that's actually an interesting problem, because there's an ocean of needs out there. Okay. And so who do you give it to? Secondly, there's who's deserving. There's lots of fraudsters. There's a lot of waste. So what I did is I got hold of a young mentee of mine, a young man called Rishabh Lalani, who's sort of
Mm.
pretty amazing because at a young age, this is all he does. And I said, Rishabh, I'm interested in these causes. For instance, I'm interested in access to justice and rule of law.
Mm.
I'm interested in education of children, particularly children with disabilities or young women. I want to help more people go to college who are needy and deserving. I care about conservation, that means the environment and all that. So in these causes, find me organizations that are have some characteristics. Okay, I said one is
Mm.
I want them on the front lines. Okay, that means they're directly helping and serving. Okay, that because those are the most efficient. That's where every rupee you give actually makes a big difference. And I went then with my emotions. Where did I feel resonance? And
Mm.
that was the most important. Everything else is intellect, tick box, criteria, and all that. But this was
Yeah.
heart. Philanthropy is very, very practical. And also,
Mm.
in a funny way, it's all about self interest. So, the first reason to give, and the reason I give, is because I feel better when I do. I've seen a lot of people, Sandhya, including some relatives, family, friends, as they get really old, that last bit, and they have regrets in life. I should have,
Mm.
I didn't live a life that mattered. And one part of that regret is I didn't help more people, I wasn't more generous. And I said, look, I really don't want to and look back at life that way. So I find that I get a lot of joy from helping and giving. So that's one good reason for everybody to do it. And it doesn't matter how small you start with whatever you feel comfortable with, and then there's a magic that happens. Okay, and gradually your fist unclenches. You're able to give more. I think there's a second reason, which is also, I think, selfish or self-interest, which is luck.
Mm.
If you think about it, each of us, anybody who's tuning into this, is incredibly lucky. You can sort of say, no, 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 it's the result of my hard work, my genius, my talent, and all that stuff. The reality is, there's just an incredible amount of good luck, and there's no guarantee it'll continue. So, my rationale is the only way of making sure there is, you know, good luck going forward is this idea of pay forward. Okay,
Mm.
you can't in any way give back to your parents who may or may not even be around anymore, to the teachers who helped you, and all those people. But what you can do is pay forward, and that's make sure that the cycle is closed and this flywheel of good luck will, will continue. I don't know if it's true. It's what I believe. The third practical reason is if you look around us, particularly those of us who live in India, there are a lot of dysfunctions in society. There's just
Mm.
incredible inequality. There's incredible wealth living cheek by jowl with incredible poverty. You've got, bad governance, corruption, lack of access to justice. The performing arts are withering away. There's less and less CSR money, and so you can't pretend that you can live in a cocoon, a little bubble, where everything is going to be great. If you live in a dysfunctional society, that dysfunction is going to affect your life sooner or later. So I said, look, we better, all do what we can to make the society in which we all live a little bit healthier. So those are my personal rationalizations for philanthropy. And I wouldn't come at it from a moral, you must do it or you're a bad person. I think do it because it helps you feel better. This this notion of philanthropy that you've articulated is a very American idea of philanthropy. And it's also
Yeah.
a somewhat modern idea. It's only in the last century or so that we've had billionaires like Rockefeller or Carnegie.
Yeah.
But this is very recent, and as I said, it's more American than East or even European uh, idea. So I think forget about big words like philanthropy. It's about giving and helping,
Yeah.
and that's just a way of being. So number two, this idea of rich is a very interesting one. Rich to me, more and more means it's a feeling, not a number. Okay,
Mm.
so somebody who has no great money, or in fact may have no money, can be rich because they have abundance, they are generous. And equally, we know people who have huge amounts of wealth, they're just so miserable clinging on to it. This idea, therefore, is about a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. And if you put these things together, what I would say is no matter what your station is in life, whether you're a student with not much, or whether you're a little bit further along, just start giving. Feel like, oh, it's too small or not, just do it. Okay, don't put judgment on it. And what you'll find over time is it becomes easier to give more. That progression will happen, it is inevitable. The other thing I want to say is money is important, but as our friend Nipun Mehta said, there are many forms of wealth. So a smile, giving a smile, can change another person's life. Okay, so let's not just value the financial part of it. So smile, love, time, giving of yourself, expertise, whatever, all these are different forms of wealth. And the more you get into the habit of just giving, the more it'll become part of who you are, and the better you'll feel about yourself, and the more I think you'll find that your relationship with the world and other people changes. A cause that is close to my heart, and there's a cause which is close to my mind. The heart is actually, young people, children, who are in some form of distress or denied opportunity. And I particularly go out to my heart goes out to the girl child, goes out particularly to any kid with disabilities. But generally, that has stayed with me for the longest time. It's why I took on that UNICEF role for 5 years. So I just think children are so beautiful, so vulnerable. They deserve all the help. That's the hard part. The head part is actually the this access to justice. I think
Mm.
this is a crisis in our country, and I like to say it doesn't matter how powerful and rich you are, or how poor and marginalized and weak you are. Any encounter with the judicial system or the police system is going to leave you feeling quite ravaged. You cannot have a country of 1.4 billion people which wants to be a major economy, 5 trillion, 10 trillion, built on a foundation of sand where citizens cannot count on access to justice. Okay, so this is a cause that consumes me greatly. It is enormously complex, but it is the foundation of any kind of reasonable society, any democracy. And so I'm trying to find ways to support that. Learned a lot about myself, but perhaps talking of just one thing, I realized how uncomfortable I was with money. I was never very greedy. Money never motivated me, but I was always a little paranoid or insecure about running out of money. Okay, because I think this world can be very, very cruel if you don't have some money. But I realized this has stayed with me too long. I should outgrow this. So this is what I write about: moving from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. And I think being more serious about and intentional about all this giving has profoundly helped me make that shift.